Hi. Today we're going to talk about home inspections and specifically waiving your home inspection contingency. So first of all, for those of you who are new to the process, the home inspection is something that occurs once you've put an offer on a house that has been accepted and you have deposited your earnest money into escrow, which means you have given your skin in the game, your money, to an escrow officer. It's only 1% of your down payment or so. And that money shows that you're serious about going through with the purchase of this home in earnest, okay? At that point, two things usually happen. First of all, your mortgage company will order an appraisal. And an appraisal and a home inspection are two very different things. The appraisal is much more sort of an estimate of what your home or the future home is worth and whether or not the money that you're getting from your lender is a fair amount to borrow for that specific home. And a home inspection is much more about the structural soundness of the home and in what condition it is and what repairs need to be done to make it a livable home. So usually in this process, or at least in a more even market, a buyer would then have a home inspection done. It would cost anywhere between $200 and $600 depending on the square footage of the home. And usually you are present and you go through with the inspector and you see, they show you the things that they think are problematic or red flags. And then traditionally you as the buyer would be able to request that the seller make some of those repairs using their own money. However, because we're in a seller's market, in order to make your offer attractive to a seller, a lot of people are opting to waive their home inspection contingency. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that they're waiving their home inspection completely. What it means is that they're not going to ask the seller to do any repairs on the seller's dime. And it's just a way to indicate that they are a serious buyer who's not going to try to nickel and dime the seller, and they're trying to go for the smoothest, quickest sale possible, okay? So the key there is, first of all, waiving the contingency doesn't necessarily mean that you waive the right to a home inspection. So let me explain that for you. What that means is you still have the right to bring in a home inspector to take a look around and do a home inspection for you to put your mind at ease. However, let's say you have waived the home inspection contingency and the home inspector comes in and finds a massively faulty electrical system in the house that's going to require a lot of rewiring. In that case, because you've waived your home inspection contingency, you could still cancel the deal and say, I'm no longer interested in this house. But at that point, because you've already deposited your earnest money in escrow, you would forfeit that money, the seller would get that money, and you'd walk away. That might sound steep, but a lot of times your earnest money is like $5,000, and compared to being $350,000 in on a house that you then have to update according to electrical codes, you're way better off, okay? Now, there are some cases, some scenarios, where waiving your home inspection contingency actually makes a lot of sense, even though it sounds like a very scary thing to do. Let me give you an example. Recently, I had an open house at a lovely home in Clackamas, and the sellers had only lived in that home for 6 months. And the reason they were moving had nothing to do with the home. It had to do with the fact that one of the parents of the family had gotten a job offer in Florida, and so they were on a quick timeline to move. Because they had only lived in that home for 6 months, there was a very recent home inspection that had been done. And so in that case, if I had clients who were making an offer on that house, I would encourage them to waive their home inspection contingency because we know that very recently the house had a full home inspection and it was completely fine and there are no glaring massive issues. Almost any home that you purchase is going to have a couple of tiny issues. That's not so much of a problem, right? What you're really looking for with a home inspection are structural issues, electrical issues, things that are going to be very costly in the long run if they're not taken care of properly. And this is why working with a realtor who you know and trust is really important, because they can advise you on the best times to take strategic, aggressive actions when placing a bid. If you have any real estate related questions, I'm happy to answer them. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at Alexa4Realty, and also you can find me on Facebook.